Hello, welcome back to my channel. I am Amber from Amber's Books and More, and today I have my September wrap-up. I read 19 books in the month of September, so we have a lot to get through. Let's just go ahead and jump in and get started. I've decided to change it up just a little bit this month. Instead of going in the order that I read them, I'm going to go in the order of the least favorite into the most favorite. That way I can kind of talk about the ones I really love at the end of the video and have a little bit more time to talk about them. So let's go. The first one that I have to talk about, I only gave 2 stars. So this is my least favorite book that I read this month. That is The Price Guide to the Occult by Leslye Walton. If I had to say that this was the most disappointing book that I've ever read, you'd probably be right, because I loved The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender, and to give this 2 stars and to dislike it as much as I do is so sad to me, especially when it has such a pretty cover as well. The only reason it did get 2 stars is because Leslye Walton's writing is beautiful. It is very lyrical. However, the story was just not good. It felt like it was a first or maybe second draft that just hadn't been edited enough. So this follows the story of a girl that is from a family of witches from Greek heritage, and they live, in this little small town, and suddenly this fog comes in and they have to figure out what it is. This book shows up, Price Guide to the Occult, and they're trying to figure out what's going on with that. There was a weird love triangle in here that made no sense. It wasn't good. And I 10 out of 10 don't recommend reading it. So this was the only book that I gave 2 stars to this month. So from now on, we're going to go up a little bit. So giving 3 stars, the first one I have is Burned by Ellen Hopkins. It's no secret that I actually really love Ellen Hopkins' writing style. I actually really love the whole prose fiction, poetry fiction type writing style. However, Ellen Hopkins for me has been known as one of those writers, kind of like Karen Slaughter, for instance, that just writes deep, dark, and troubling books, and I really enjoy that about her writing. However, this one is just a little bit bland, if I had to say. I was highly disappointed in this one because I just felt like it could have been done so much better. I do have the sequel, or the next book in this series, which is called Smoke, and I do plan on reading it. However, this one just left me kind of feeling blah. It's kind of about a girl that was raised in a religious home, and she had always been told, oh, you can't do this, you can't have sex, you can't drink, you can't smoke, and she starts to kind of rebel against that. And then, so her parents send her off to live with her aunt, which is carefree. If you're super religious and you're mad at your daughter for being carefree, why send her to the carefree aunt? It makes no sense. It was okay, middle of the road, 3 stars. The next book on my list is actually pretty disappointing to me, and it is Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. This is another book that is fiction told in prose and poetry. I did enjoy the story, however, I felt like it was too short, and I didn't really like the way that it ended. It wasn't as mind-blowing as I was hoping that it would be. It did have a lot to say about some social commentary. It's about a boy that his brother just got murdered, and he's on his way to go and take care of the person he thinks murdered him, and then suddenly weird stuff starts happening in an elevator. Anything else, it's not very long, so anything over that would be a spoiler, but it was okay. It wasn't bad by any means. Jason Reynolds has a way with his words, let me tell you what. But it wasn't great, as great as I hoped it would be, at least. So I gave that one 3 stars as well, just the middle of the road. The next one I read was actually a graphic novel, and this was Giant Days Volume 6, I believe. This one I also gave 3 stars. I'm honestly starting to just feel kind of blah about the whole Giant Days series. It just feels like the same thing kind of over and over again. It's very much a slice of life. It's about these three yeah, these three girls that are in college together. The first 5 volumes are about their freshman year of college, and volume 6 starts their sophomore year of college. There was one relationship that I was kind of rooting for all through 5 volumes, and it just didn't happen. And I'm just, I will continue because they are available through my library through Hoopla, so, but 3 stars, just middle of the road once again. And okay, so the next one I was actually very disappointed in, even though I did rate it middle of the road 3, but it is You by Carolyn Kepnes. I honestly thought this was going to like blow my mind and be like so great because everybody talks so much about it, but it was just kind of So in case you didn't know, You is told from the perspective of a man named Joe, and he is very much obsessed with one girl, and the story is told as though he is writing her a note, like a diary almost. And so he's like, you, I saw you at the store, and then you decided to go and do this, and it just kind of follows him. This probably would have been 4 stars, but there was a chunk in the middle that meandered in a totally different direction that did have nothing to do with anything, and if that would have been totally cut out, it probably would have been a 4 stars. Other than that, it was just middle of the road. I did watch the first episode on Lifetime, and it's actually really good, and I do want to continue the TV series, but just know that this is longer than it probably needs to be. 3 stars. The next one is a book of the month pick that I picked back in March of 2018. I've been trying to get these read up more, and I am actually down to only having like 3 that I haven't read. But this one is Not That I Could Tell, and it's by Jessica Strasser. So this one tells the story of these women that live in the neighborhood together. Most of them are mothers, one of them is not. The main character is not a mother, but she lives in the same neighborhood as all these mothers, and they get together one night for a bonfire. And then when they wake up, one of the mothers has gone missing. Her kids are gone, she's just gone. The husband is trying to find out what happened to her, and it's pretty crazy. It's pretty good for a thriller. It's not the best thriller I've ever read. I gave it 3 stars, middle of the road, but I would definitely read Jessica Strasser's books in the future because I did enjoy her fast-paced, intriguing writing style. So the next one on my list is Wild Beauty by Anna Marie McLemore. We are now getting into the books that, while they still are 3 stars like this one, I did actually really enjoy them. So this is magical realism, and this tells the story of this family of women that are stuck at this place and they cannot leave, and they have to grow flowers. That's about all I want to say because you really do kind of need to go into it without knowing. But it is beautifully written. The flowing writing style I really enjoyed. It was a little hard to get into in the beginning, which is why I gave it 3 stars. But overall, if you enjoy magical realism, I do recommend this one. So the next one is the other Book of the Month Club book that I read this month, and I got this one for September. So I actually read it the same month that I got it in the mail, and it's 3 stars, but it is wild. It is hashtag Fashion Victim by Amina Akhtar. This is crazy. This is like single white female meets Dexter meets The Devil Wears Prada. Follow with me there? It's crazy. It's about a woman that is obsessed with another woman and wants her to be her best friend, and she does some horrible things in order to make this girl her best friend. That's all I'm going to say. It's crazy. You can tell that the author has worked in the fashion industry before because it was spot on, but this was a little bit cray. I mean, a lot cray. 3 stars. So now we're getting into my 4-star books. The first one I have is I Hate Fairyland Volume 4, and this is called Sadly Never After, and that is a perfect title. I did not know going into this volume that this was the final volume of this story. It made me so sad when I got to the end of it and I realized that there was no ever after. This was it. This was the end. And once again, though, I don't know, the writing style, I'm sorry. The art style in these are absolutely some of my favorites. I love this series, and I'm so sad that it was so short-lived. But I definitely cannot wait to see what Skottie Young comes out with next. I hope that he gets an awesome artist to go along with his writing, because this was just a fantastic series. The next 4-star book I had was The Towering Sky by Katharine McGee. This is the final book in the 1000th Floor trilogy. So this tells the story of like a futuristic New York City where they have these huge 1000-floor towers, and how rich you are is how high up in the tower you live, and some of the bottom floors are kind of like whole city streets and stuff. It's really cool, but it's basically like Gossip Girl sort of. So it follows this group of teenage girls that are like rich, and there's a lot of secrets, and there's people dying, and it was a good ending to the series, I would say. I cannot wait to see what Katharine McGee comes up with next. 4 stars for this one. The next 4-star book I have is Undead Girl Gang by Lily Anderson. This was so cute. Oh my gosh. This was like a contemporary book that just happened to have zombies in it. It's a story about this girl who loses her best friend, and she decides to do a spell to bring her back from the dead, and she accidentally not only brings her back, but 2 other girls that she didn't like that had died around the same time. And it's basically them trying to figure out who killed them. And it was so funny and so cute, and I absolutely adored it. 4 stars. And I would definitely read something from Lily Anderson again, because I loved her writing style. It was so fast, so easy to read. So definitely check this one out. The next 4-star book I have was Bird Box by Josh Malerman. I have been wanting to get to this thing for ages, and I'm so glad that I finally did. So this is basically a woman that, it kind of is a dual timeline. So in the present, she just is like teaches her twin kids to like keep their eyes shut. They can't go outside. They can't look at things outside because something's out there. And then it kind of goes into the past when she's pregnant, and goes in it and ends up meeting into the present. So you kind of figure out like what happened. But the best part of this book is that you don't know what's out there, and it's just, she has to close her eyes, and it's creepy, and you don't know what's happening. And it's like, it's a horror thriller, like a horror thriller. I don't know, it's just really good. It's also being made into a movie with Sandra Bullock, and I'm definitely excited to see how that goes, because this was like on the edge of my seat. I loved it a lot. 4 stars, if I didn't say that before. The next 4-star book I have actually turns this author into a new favorite, because now I've liked 2 of their books very much. So that is Genuine Fraud by E. Lockhart. I absolutely loved We Were Liars. However, Genuine Fraud is nothing like We Were Liars. So this is a story that is told backwards. So basically you start with the last, really the second to last chapter. You go all the way down to the first chapter, and then you go to the last chapter at the very end. And this is about a woman that just runs around lying about who she is, and you have to figure out why. And it was brilliant, and I love E. Lockhart. She's a genius. I loved this book so much, and I'm actually really excited because I went to a signing, and now I have a signed personalized book that I absolutely adore. So I give it 4 stars, but I loved it. The next 4-star book I have is actually kind of a novella that I just read like yesterday or the day before, and it is Rolling in the Deep by Myra Grant. So basically, if you've watched my October TBR, I will leave that linked up above. My friend Julie over at Pages and Pens has picked my October TBR for me, and Rolling in the Deep is one of the ones that I'm doing as a buddy read with her on Twitter. And we found out that there's a prequel novella. So basically, Rolling in the Deep is like a found footage movie, but it's showing, it's kind of, okay, let me put it this way. It's like if you had Blair Witch Project. You have the movie that was the found footage, and then like say there was a sequel of people that went to go find out what happened and see if it's fake or not. That's Rolling in the Deep, is the people later on trying to find out if it's fake. No. Into the Drowning Deep is the one later. Rolling in the Deep is the found footage film. It was only like 100 and something pages. It only took like an hour and a half or 2 hours to get through. And I gave it 4 stars. It was creepy. These killer mermaids. It was great. I loved it. Gave me nightmares. That's okay. definitely check that out. It is on Kindle. The last 4-star book that I have for the month is actually one that I did really love, even though I gave it 4 stars, and that is Summer of Salt by Katrina Leno. This was so beautiful. So this was the story of a girl who lives on this little island, and their family is witches. Sounds familiar? But this one was done well. So this one is basically like, so basically there's this bird that shows up to this island that is like their namesake, and it's the reason that they're famous. And this bird comes every summer, and there's people that come to like document this bird, and suddenly it's not showing up, and people are trying to figure out what's going on. The main character has a twin sister. Her twin sister starts acting really strangely, so she's also trying to find out what's going on with that. And she's also kind of has a new little relationship going on, and that was absolutely gorgeous and cute, and I loved it. However, this has been touted as a mix of The Wicked Deep and The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender. 100% that is what this is. However, individually, I do like both of those books more than this one. But as far as if you enjoy witches and you like magical realism, definitely read this. It's really cute. The only reason I gave it 4 stars is I really wanted more out of the relationship. I feel like they just spent too much time not talking to each other. So, but it is 4 out of 5 stars. It is in the top 5 books that I read this month, and I absolutely loved it. So the first 5-star book that I have for you is City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. This is Victoria Schwab's debut as a middle grade author. This is about a girl that can see through the veil and see like ghosts and things, and she goes into this little town. So she goes to Edinburgh, Scotland, which is like a little town, and there's like a lot of ghost activity, and it's just kind of like stuff that happens there. I don't want to give anything away, but it's absolutely cute. I loved it. It was very good as a middle grade novel goes. Middle grade can be on the young side, or it can be beautifully and perfectly done and just speak to people of all ages, and that is definitely what this is. I give this 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely think that everyone should read this. It's a quick read. It's not very long. I loved it, and I cannot wait to see what Victoria Schwab does for the next installment of this, because I know that the main character then goes to Paris, I believe, and that is going to be really good. So I'm really excited about this one. So now I have 3 books left. So now we are in my top 3 books of September. So the next one is going to be Never World Wake by Marisha Pessl. This is a story that is, I guess it's kind of magical realism-ish, fantasy-ish. It's kind of hard to pinpoint, but it's about these people that have to relive the same day over and over again, but they don't get a full day. They get like 12 hours, and then as it goes on, they start getting like 8 hours, 7 hours, 6 hours, and it's just, they have to kind of come up with a decision. There's all these secrets that they're trying to figure out, and this is just really cool. Paranormally thing. This is like the kind of book I like exactly. And Marisha Pessl has a way of writing that was absolutely transfixed. I was so transfixed on it, and it was really good. And so I ended up going to the store and getting another book by her because I loved her writing style so much. But 5 out of 5 stars. Highly recommend if you enjoy this kind of thing. Alright, so the next 5-star book I had, and my number 2 pick for the month of September, was Josh and Hazel's Guide to Christina Lauren. I read this for Contemporary-a-thon. It was 5 out of 5 stars. It was so cute. I don't even like romance type books very much, but this was so good. It was so cute. And I love Josh. He's like my book boyfriend now, and he's adorable, and their relationship is adorable, and Hazel is just such a sweet, quirky, oh, I love this book so much. 5 out of 5 stars. If you don't like the romance contemporary type books, but you enjoy darker contemporaries, I think this is a good mix, because there are a little bit of dark pieces thrown in there that it's just so good. Guys, I just love this book so much. You just have to read it. It's steamy, it's fun, it's cute, it's beautiful, it's pretty. Come on, just read it. I love it. Alright, so the last book that I read, the 19th book that I read, not necessarily in that order, but my favorite book of September of 2018 was Sadie by Courtney Summers. This book was everything. It was so different than anything else I've ever read. It was like mixed media, so you had like normal narration from Sadie's point of view. You had this like podcast about dead girls, and you're trying to figure out, Sadie's on this mission to get revenge on somebody that killed her sister. And highly recommend it. 5 out of 5 stars. Definitely check out the audiobook on this one because it was perfect. Like, this is one of those books that I say, if you can only have the physical, which is beautiful, or the audio, I would pick the audio over the physical, because while the physical is nice, it just, there's different voice. I mean, it's just good, okay? Just trust me. It's great. It's great. Okay, so that is the 19 books that I have read for the month of September. That is the best month I've had ever, I think, honestly. I know for this year, for sure. For last year, too, I think. I had been averaging about 5 books a month, and the best month I had was in February for 12 books, and this definitely blew that out of the water, especially considering like only 2 of them were graphic novels. So that was a lot of like full-length books that I read. But let me know what you guys think about any of these books. I definitely want to discuss them down in the comments. I know that probably I have unpopular opinions about some of these, and I know that I probably have some popular opinions about some of these, because I know a lot of people really loved Sadie. But let's just talk about it. Discussions. It's great. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. I don't know why I'm talking like this. Well, anyways, that's all I have for you today. So until next time, have a great day wherever you are, and I love you. Bye.